Hey, this is Dan from UserSpice.com, and one of the things I wanted to do today is to redo a video I did a few years ago, just kind of explaining why I think that UserSpice is one of the most flexible pieces of software, especially PHP software, on the market, and it's free. And one of the things is when you start using things like frameworks and stuff, a lot of times they really want to box you in to how you do your work. You have to use their database classes, you have to use their templates, you have to use their stuff, and you have to code it their way to make it work. And I guess one of the things that I'm most proud of with UserSpice is the fact that we have made it something that you can write your code however you want. You can do pretty much whatever you want. You can edit things to your heart's content. Of course, there's best practices. Of course, there's ways that I think are better to do things, but the fact is UserSpice doesn't care. UserSpice is the honey badger of PHP frameworks. It doesn't care how you code your project. It doesn't care how you organize your project or anything like that. And I wanted to prove that fact here in 2019 with a just taking a regular HTML website off the internet and just downloading it. And the only thing I've done, I haven't edited any code. The only thing I've done was did a find and replace of the picture that was here with a honey badger to kind of represent what we're talking about. So what I want to do is I want to show you briefly how to take an existing project, regardless of how it was written, and turn it into a UserSpice project where you can get all the benefits of controlling users and access and passwords and all those kinds of things. So what I'm going to do, this is the site in all its PHP glory, completely unedited. The one thing you would be careful doing what I'm doing is this idea of an index dot. If you happen to have an index.php and you drug ours in there, you might overwrite yours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing, since this is an index.html file, we're safe. I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to just drag it over here. I'll copy it in case I make a mistake, but I'm going to copy it, and you'll see we're not overwriting any files. We're just dragging it in there. And what we have is all these other features. Now, because we have two indexes, just to kind of keep things just clear, I'm going to go ahead and rename our index.php to home.php, just for the heck of it. Oh gosh, Control Z, that was bad. All right, so I'm going to take just this one file and rename it to home. All right, see, we're unscripted here at UserSpice. So I'm going to drag this over here, and I'm going to just go to home.php. And it's going to notice that it is not installed. So we're just going to walk over here. You can set your time zone. I'm going to do 127.0.1 for my host because I'm on XAMPP. I'm going to say my username is root. And then we're going to say HB for honey badger. And we're going to, that's the name of our database. Now you'll notice I didn't go create a database in advance. Even WordPress makes you do that. But what happens is UserSpice detects here if you're able to make the database automatically. And since we are, it's going to. So we're just going to do that, and we're going to finalize the install, and we're going to clean up the installation files, run some updates, and then log in with the default username of admin and password. So all of a sudden, we have all these features. We have charts and graphs and user management and all that kind of stuff, and we have not affected our initial project at all. So in fact, if I go here to honey badger, this is still here. You can still access everything. We haven't controlled anything or done anything like that. So the first thing to do is to just kind of understand what you need to make a page a UserSpice page. And so we're going to come back to our file manager, and there's not much. You don't need very much. So we're going to take this, in fact, let's go to our code editor. Let's do this. Let's go to, I'm going to cd hb for honey badger, Adam dot. We're going to load up Adam. And so Adam's going to pop up here. That's my preferred code editor. Again, UserSpice don't care. Use whatever you want. But we're going to take this index.html file and we're going to rename it to index.php. Now, because we have navigation and stuff like that built in here, let's just go ahead and find all, find in project. Since we just renamed this file, we'll do index.html to index.php, just letting all this navigation know that we just changed the name of that. And we're going to replace all. Yes, we're sure. And great. So now we've renamed that. Now I may have broken something, but we live on the edge here at UserSpice. So what we have here is you need essentially one line to get all the features of UserSpice. And so I'm going to show you, if I come to this home thing, this one line of code right here, the init, is what will give you access to the database and user management and all that kind of stuff. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to index.php, and I'm going to open up my PHP tags. And I'm going to paste that in there. And then it's kind of hard to know like that you actually have access, so I'll put just a little bit of UserSpice code down here. This is obviously not essential. In fact, let's look over here. So we have the word. Let's find a word we can search for. So we have travel more. Let's go to that section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just prove to you that we have access to all of the UserSpice functions. So because we've only used that one line, a lot of things aren't going to automatically happen for us. So we're going to tell it to connect to the database. And again, all this is usually done for you, but I'm doing it manually here. And so I'm going to say, go to the database. I'll tell you what, let's do test. Test equals, go to the database and query it. And then just select star from settings limit 1. We don't even really need to limit 1. I'll just do first. Okay, and then I'm going to do dump first. Okay, or dump test. So what these lines of code, let me break down what these 3 lines of code tell us. So we modified this page and gave ourselves access to this init.php, and these 3 lines of code are going to run 3 tests for us. If I can find them again. Oops, okay, so right here. These 3 lines of code tell us, 1, we can connect to the database, 2, we can query the database, and then this is a special UserSpice function that it cleans up var dump and makes it a little bit prettier. And so basically what these 3 lines tell us is that we can connect to the database, we can query the database, and that we have access to the UserSpice built-in functions just because we did that one line up there. And you'll see, if I were to refresh the page and go to index.php, that, yep, we have all of that. We've connected to the database, we've queried the database, we've dumped the data because we have access to that one line of code up at the top. So pretty nifty. You have just made yourself a UserSpice page. Now the real reason that most people use UserSpice, though, we can leave that there, is that they want to control who can go to what page. So let's take a look at this. Let's refresh this. So we come up to the top and we have this contact page. And so contact, it would be really annoying if we were getting all kinds of spammers constantly going in there and filling out this form and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and make that an official UserSpice protected page. Now again, this is HTML. We have not designed this page as a UserSpice page. We're just going to show you how quickly you can take this and get 95% of the benefits of UserSpice. So we're going to come in here and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to rename this to contact.php. Okay. And then while we're here, we'll go ahead and just change the navigation. So contact.php, or sorry, contact.html. And we're going to replace that with contact.php. So we're going to find all. And we're going to replace all. Okay. So now we're going to come back here. We're going to load up contact.php. And we're going to do a little bit more. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this snippet of code from the top. And what this is, if you missed it when I pasted it the first time, this is a link, basically a require to a file in the users folder called init. And so you always kind of have to spell this link out. And what happens is, I'll just open it so you can see it. During install, we wrote this file, and it put in your database credentials, and it automatically loads all those functions and all the other things. So this is kind of the core file that makes UserSpice work. So we come in here and we're going to include that setup thing, and then we're going to do one more thing. And you can grab this line of code from pretty much any UserSpice page. So if I grab this, what it's doing here, this is really important. It's going to say, if you shouldn't be here, then ideally first it's going to redirect the page to where you're allowed to go. But if that doesn't happen, if everything goes wrong, if all of your links are bad, it's going to kill the page, which means that if you don't have the proper permissions, you'd never make it to line 3 of this application. Meaning you could store, I'm not telling you to, no matter what is on this page, nobody who, is bad English, nobody who doesn't have access to it will be able to see this page. And so how do we set that up? So I've saved that. I've done 2 lines of code, and then I'm going to come over here to the dashboard, and so we'll just go home again. So I'm going to come over here to my dashboard, and I'm going to go to pages. And you're going to see that some of these other things have shown up. Now, the one that I'm concerned about is that contact.php file that I first made. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it contact us. That works. So you can tell I've typed contact us in there before. And I'm going to say that anybody who is a user or administrator can access this page. So I'm going to update that, and boom. Now these 2 levels have access to it, and so we're going to come back to our home page. So now when I come here, let's see. All right. So if I come here, I'm still logged in as Dan, so I have access to this page. So what if I were to come back here? It's kind of easier to go to home, so we'll go to home.php. Do this. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to log out. And so I've logged out, and now when I try to go here, it redirects me to the login page. So no matter what I do, I can try to go directly to contact.php. If I don't have access to it, it's going to trigger the secure page function, and it's going to throw me out. But if I log in, admin and password, it's going to send me to where I was going originally. Now, in fact, I'll show you one more thing that's kind of interesting. If I go to that home.php, which again, this is not normal because normally you'd have links there, but we're going to go back to the dashboard, and you'll see that these security events were triggered. And so this is kind of interesting. What it did is UserSpice was smart enough to know that it didn't know who I was when I was trying to visit contact.php, but when I logged in, it said, ooh, or even when this came up, the last person to use the IP address on here was admin. So admin was trying to go someplace he wasn't supposed to go. Now, it could have been that he wasn't logged in, or maybe admin was poking around doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. And so how cool is that? How cool that with 2 lines of code, you have the ability to look at what's going on, who's doing what, who changed what. You can come in here to the users, and I can change that person's permission levels. All of the UserSpice stuff happens because you have 2 lines of code. And so we're not going to get a lot into styling or anything like that, but basically 3 things need to happen to get 95% of the functionality of UserSpice. You need to, 1, call the page a PHP page. 2, you need to have a link to the init page. And 3, you need to have the secure page thing. Now, in fact, I'll go ahead and show you. If I get rid of this line and then come over here and log out, I can still visit contact.php. Nothing is stopping me from visiting that page because I've commented out this function. So all I do is I save this and I comment it out, and now as a logged out person, I cannot visit that page. That page is killed and I am redirected, and I have just enforced the security of a page that was not designed to be secure in any way, shape, or form, but 2 lines of code did that for me. So if you're watching this, there's a good chance you're new to UserSpice, and I just want to tell you that we as developers are super thrilled to have you, and we want to let you know that there are basically no questions that are too dumb. We're going to help you get set up. We're going to help you transition your existing project. I'll be making a video in the future to help try to take this project and make it look a little bit more cohesive and stuff like that. But feel free to join us on Discord, join us in the forums. I think Discord is a little bit better. You'll get faster responses, but join us if you have any questions and comment on the video. We're not super fast at responding to those, to be honest, but anyway, just thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.